Before we get started, just a quick note, spoiler alert.
And we are adults, and I will try very hard not to use adult language, but this is the warning.
Hey there, welcome back to Last Library on the Left. My name is Jennifer.
And I'm Sadina. We're a horror review and discussion podcast where we talk about horror in books, movies, and other formats, why we seek it out, and why we need it in our lives.
So in the last episode, I told you that we're covering something dark today, and I'm afraid to tell you that we're talking about In the Tall Grass, the novella written by Joe Hill and Stephen King. It was originally published in 2 parts in the Esquire magazine in August of 2012, and then released in book format in October of 2012.
I just don't... Why? Why Esquire?
I don't know. Listen, I'm not trying to cover this... This was so scary.
It really was.
So I didn't do much research because I didn't want to. But we're also, alongside the novella, we're talking about the 2019 Netflix adaptation In the Tall Grass, which was equally scary. But first, we're going to talk about the book. Like I said, it was written by Joe Hill and Stephen King. And for those that don't know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. You can find it in the book
Full Throttle.
Full Throttle. That's where we got ours.
Mm-hmm. Although I think it's also as a novella, we just didn't have it at the library.
Yeah.
There's a record for it, but I had to get Full Throttle.
Yeah, I had to get Full Throttle as well. So...
We'll make it. It'll be okay.
Yeah. So the basis of the movie and the book, just bare bones summary, is that this brother and sister are traveling. She's pregnant. They're traveling back home.
No, they're traveling to San Francisco.
Oh, that's right.
Because they're from New Hampshire. That's where the plates are from on the car.
Girl, I might be confusing both.
But I think in the movie they're talking about how they're going to San Francisco because she's giving the baby up for adoption.
Yeah.
And the family that's going to... I almost said buy the baby. I mean, that's kind of right, but
yeah.
the family that's going to adopt the baby was going to keep her, house her for the last trimester, and then she would give the baby and stay and breastfeed and then leave again.
Yeah, so they're going somewhere. And, listen.
It messed you up pretty bad.
It just messed me up so bad. I told Sadina I literally had a nightmare about it last night. But, so on their journey, they're in a small town, the windows are down in the car, and Becky, the main character, is Becky Cal, who's her brother. Becky hears someone calling for help, so they stop and they go into the tall grass, and it goes from there. So we'll talk book first, and then I'll do the credits for the movie.
I mean, I don't mind talking about the book because I read it last night and then I re-skimmed it this morning because, like I said, I thought maybe I hadn't read it all because it stopped so abruptly and I was really unhappy.
Yeah.
And then I had to watch cartoons. But so the novella, I do really like the beginning of the story because it's very descriptive and I feel like it does it better because you can actually be inside the characters' heads.
Yeah.
And does a better part of selling the motives of going into the grass, kind of faltering, being separated, things like that. Whereas in the movie, it was a bit more disorienting.
Yeah, I was very disoriented with the movie. What I liked about the book is there was that ability to build a relationship between Cal and Becky as siblings, how close they were. They called them Irish twins, and how the parents talked about, like, she calls and he answers.
Yeah. They were called Ike and Mike. They think alike.
Yeah. And so I liked that because...
in the movie, it seemed...
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about that though when we get in the movie, because okay, anyway.
Yeah.
So, although in the book, there was one line where Becky and Cal were separated, and Cal is beginning to really become unraveled over being lost and frustrated in the field.
Yeah.
And he starts thinking, all I want is Becky. God, I want Becky. And I was like,
that's
a little...
suspect.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I love my siblings, and I have done terrible things to protect them.
Yeah.
And never once in my life have I thought, God, I want so-and-so, because...
yeah, I want chocolate.
Right. There are things I desire.
Yeah.
That's not one of them.
No. And I love my sisters, but no. So what I liked in the book is that they developed that sibling love.
Yes.
And it wasn't quite as inappropriate as it was made out to be in the film.
Yes.
Which we'll get into it when we talk about the film. And like you said, it was more, to me, it was more straight to the point. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as disorienting as the movie.
Although the kid came off way more sinister in the book, even in the beginning.
Yes.
which he sounded more lost and disoriented in the movie. But in the book, he definitely came off a little malicious sounding in the very beginning.
Yeah, because there's a kid that's missing and he's calling out for help. And
so let's set up the first, because this is definitely part of the isolation horror of it. Is the setup before they're even the setup before they're even in the grass.
Yeah,
definitely cements the idea of how isolated they are. So they're taking back roads because they're taking a very scenic route to San Francisco.
They've made their decision on what they want to see as they're taking their trip.
Right.
And they just finished seeing, I think, what Becky wanted to see or something like that.
Like the big twine ball or something.
Yeah.
So they're on this itty bitty route, middle of nowhere, between grass and wheat fields and everything. And there are houses in the distance, but everything is really far apart. For those of us in Texas, we know what it's like once you're out of a city limit and there's nothing for miles. And it's just, sorry if you guys heard that dog. My neighbor's dog gets left home alone a lot and he just cries. Anyway, so part of the isolation horror though is this idea that so as they're driving they hear someone, a small child, very clearly a small child, yell for help from this field. And Cal pulls over and they kind of look at each other and they're not really sure they've heard it. And in the book they talk about how they've shared hallucinations before, which is a little weird, but like okay.
We're feeding into the whole Irish twin lore here at this point.
And so they weren't really sure if they should stop and investigate because they've shared those hallucinations before. And I think at the moment they're kind of considering moving on because they can hear a radio from a house on the wind and a dog somewhere in the distance. And they start to believe that maybe they didn't hear anything at all. And then the kid hollers for help again. And like, oh, no, we definitely heard a child is in distress. And I'm sure that Becky, who's pregnant, is thinking very maternally. Cal is kind of comes off as the type to want to save the day because I think he even says like Captain Cal is on the way.
Yeah, he does.
It's a little corny, but whatever.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, oh god.
So Becky gets out of the car and Cal goes to drive and park the car in this abandoned church parking lot.
Yes, the name of the church is Church of the Black Rock of the Redeemer, because I wrote it down because I was like, that is scary.
Yes. But in all fairness, I think a lot of those country church names are scary. There's one off Highway 6 and 288 that I used to drive by all the time when I had Ashley that was called Church of the Harvest, and then under it said He's Coming, and it scared the absolute crap out of me. I was like, why would you go to a church talking about harvesting people and He's coming to harvest you? That doesn't sound okay.
Oh my
that sounds really scary.
That is scary. And I'm just like watching Sons of Sam and it's taking me back to all the cult talk in that show. I'm scared.
I think it would have been less scary if it was just called The Rock of the Redeemer, because I think there's a story in the Bible somewhere about Jesus on the hill and the rock or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't read it, guys. I'm going by what friends have told me.
Right. I'd be fine if it just said the church.
Right. But it says the Black Rock of the Redeemer, which is a little weird.
Yeah. Very uncomfortable. Already I'm feeling uncomfortable.
And all the cars are abandoned.
Yeah.
Which, not unusual in small town roads, but the fact that there's a child lost in this field across the street, it makes you wonder if he's come from one of these cars that are abandoned.
And there's no one else there.
No.
You're only hearing the child at this point.
So Cal parks, but then he sees a car that kind of unnerves him, and you don't find out until later in the novella, but what unnerves him is that inside of the car, which has weeks and weeks of dust buildup, there's burgers in the car from a family that was clearly eating and traveling, and they've got maggots in them. So the car, theoretically a family car, had been recently abandoned to the point where even their food was left behind. Yeah. So Cal comes to the grass and Becky, a brilliant woman she is trying to call 911. Cal, the weird, maybe wannabe hero that he is, says Captain Cal is here, and goes straight into the grass.
And forgets his phone in the car, too.
Forgets his phone, forgets his glasses. So where Cal entered, Becky thought she could follow him directly, but the grass had no give. And so, I don't know, she loses contact with him almost immediately. Yeah. She's also not paying attention because she's on the phone with the police. Which I will also say she got a hold of very fast considering where they were. And the police, she had full bars before going into the grass, and within 5 steps going into the grass, she's lost the operator. So
yeah, she watches as her phone goes from one bar to no signal.
And I mean, neither Cal nor Becky have gone very far into the grass. Right. Cal's probably a little ahead of her because he takes off at a run trying to get to the kid. Now they've heard the mom. The mom is telling her child, Tobin, no, stop, don't call for help. Don't call them in here and he'll find us. So you're aware that there's a third person in the field.
Yeah.
But the third person is someone you have to be afraid of. And the kid is still crying for help.
And the mom is telling them, Becky and Cal, don't come in here.
Right.
Don't
And
go in there.
Don't get lost like us.
Yeah.
And it was just really distressing. But Cal goes in a little faster and he winds up getting disoriented almost immediately. And so he jumps above the field to see how far he is from the road. And there's like a football's length between him and the road. And he was like, that's not how far I went in.
No.
So I think Cal is much more observant of how dire the situation is faster than Becky, even though she had a drop call, which I think would have been my sign.
I wouldn't have gone in until I finished that phone call.
Right? And she only went in because she was afraid of losing sight of her brother, but like,
yeah.
I mean,
they ignored the whole one person should stay out here and make sure that safety is on its way or whatever. I mean, that's just my logical, okay, if you're going to go in there, I'm going to be out here on the phone in case you get lost too.
Yeah. Also, she's pregnant. I don't think I would have gone into this field that people are easily lost in. Because like a child being lost in the field, fine. But an adult that was with the child who is not actually with the child at the time because they're yelling at each other, that would have been my red flag where I'm like, well, crap, if people very easily can get lost in here, I'm not putting my pregnant butt in there to get lost. Me either. So bad choices made all around.
So many bad choices.
And this is where it starts to really deviate. This is where the movie starts to really deviate.
Yeah.
But in the book, it gets very dark, very fast. So fast. Becky comes into contact with the father that was briefly mentioned. He is insane. He is unhinged. He's covered in blood. Because you also heard the mom screaming at one point. Yeah. You're aware the mom is dead. Yeah. And he's killed her because she was like, don't holler for help.
Right, he'll find us.
So you think the mom is dead. You think the dad did it. He's crazy. Yeah. And then he like kind of tries to, he doesn't kind of. He assaults Becky almost immediately. Knees her in the stomach with the baby.
Many times.
Oh, and the way they described it in the book was so much more upsetting than in the movie.
Oh, man.
Because in the movie, I feel like they kind of glossed over it.
Right, and I think when he did it to her in the movie, it happened so fast that it's almost like, did I really see that?
Yes.
Right?
In the book, he hit her 3 times.
He hit her 3 times.
And she describes the feeling of, like, basically the baby becoming untethered from the uterine wall. And she doesn't know that that's what she's feeling, but that's absolutely what she's feeling. And it's so distressing.
It is so distressing.
He attacks her, and she gets her keys out of her pocket and attacks him. And it's just the struggle and everything was really, it's one of the things that, like you, I gave up reading Stephen King a long time ago. Yeah. And one of the reasons I gave up reading Stephen King a long time ago was because of these descriptive acts of assault and kind of the descriptive, granted it was a bit more prevalent in the movie somehow, but the weird incestuous. Yeah. I don't know, I just...
So bothersome.
No,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's definitely a boundary.
Yeah.
There's some issues in my family that I can't read about that type of stuff. And
the way he told her, like, oh, I'm gonna F you against the rock.
Because it wants blood and tears and it'll have both.
Yeah. I was like, this is just I'm not okay.
Yeah. And he's talking about men dancing in the grass and the pinwheeling stars and all this other stuff. And he's choking her the entire time he's attacking her. And it's very distressing. Meanwhile, Cal, he's not having the worst time comparatively, but he's not having a great time either. Because he comes across a dead dog, which was very distressing to see, but then I had to read about it too.
Yes.
I was like, God damn it, I forgot the dog. Dog is dead, and I don't think I put it together until the book that the dad had eaten the dog.
I didn't put those two together either.
Because the family has been lost in the field for days. Yeah. And the boy says that initially, and Becky was like, okay, he probably means 20 minutes.
Right, yeah.
Because time is such a fleeting thing for children.
Yeah.
But no, they've definitely been there for days. Because the father has resorted to eating the family dog and eating his wife.
I think so.
Because before assaulting and attacking Becky, he was like, oh, everybody's fine. I can even show you where my wife is. Yeah. And he was like, come on. So she, even though in the book, she was like, I didn't trust him, but I followed him. But why?
Because they were bent on making all the bad decisions.
Yes. So she follows, and the whole place where he even attacked her was with his wife's dead body, where he ripped her arm from its socket and had eaten her thighs.
Yeah. I think they said that there were bite marks all throughout her body. Ugh, just gross.
And it just, all of it was so so terrible. And Cal has met the son, and the son, Tobin, is definitely not the same kid as in the one in the movie.
No, this is definitely the creepy kid.
Yeah.
I think he told him I can show you the way the rock will help.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he does it in both.
Yeah.
But in the book, he sounds more like his dad.
Yeah.
When he talks about the rock. Because his dad is talking about how the rock doesn't belong here. It was brought by the last ice age and dragged through and left. And it's described to look like volcanic rock. It was all terrible. But the little boy, he's eating a crow. And because he said he couldn't eat the dog. And God, I hope he didn't try to eat his mom.
I don't know.
I think he's probably living off the crows because Cal sees another dead crow before this. So as I'm reading this, I saw the movie first.
Yeah, same.
And I was not prepared for the boy to be this unhinged. So it took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And the closer I got to the last page, the more desperate I got to believe that the ending I saw in the movie was coming.
Me too!
And the more distressed I got with the fewer pages I had left. And I was like, how are they going to resolve? Where is this going? And then, okay, so in the last few pages...
After she kills the dad, she goes into labor.
Yeah, she's crawling to get away from the scene, and she goes into labor because the baby became unattached from the womb. And she goes into labor, but I think she miscarries, is actually what happened. Because the boy told Cal that she miscarried. And he was like, how would you know that? Because the grass is talking to him. Touch the rock. Don't touch the rock, guys.
Yeah, don't touch the rock.
That was the other thing I didn't like about this, was that they were like, yeah, once you touch the rock, you can find your way out because the grass will talk to you. But nobody ever left.
No one
They
ever
touched
left.
the rock and they stayed there. So she delivers a stillborn baby because she talks about it being quiet.
Yeah.
And that wasn't as graphic as it could have been, I guess. I mean, I've definitely read worse scenes. But Cal touches the rock, and Cal and Tobin eventually find her because that's who Cal wants to find. And they find her blacked out from the pain of labor and the fight, and they're feeding her to help her regain her strength. And she's like, where's the baby? And Cal's like, she's perfect. And the boy says she's scrumptious. And I ignored that part
I didn't.
until they started talking about how she was regaining her strength.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God. And then she starts screaming at Cal, what did we eat? And he was like, we ate the grass and the seeds. And but they're covered in blood. And it was so terrible. And then she touches the rock. And the next scene is this family, but it's a family in the past, it felt like.
Because they were like hippies. So it was like they went back in time almost.
Yeah. Which kind of plays into the movie thing where time is clearly a circle.
Yeah.
But there's this family, and they hear who I assume is Becky calling for help from the field, and the hippie family pulls off, and all 8 of them,
they all go because
so
no one wants to stay and make dinner.
Oh my God, that was so stupid. So the whole freaking family
They
goes into
all
the
go in
field,
there.
and that was the end. And I remember looking at the last page and thinking, what? That can't, but that's not how it ended. And I even started reading the next short story and was like, oh no, this is the end. And it's terrible and I hate it.
Yep.
I regret saying that this is what we should read. Because this was my idea.
This is all Sadina.
It was all my fault. Because there's a big surprise coming.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to have this kind of Stephen King arc surrounding it.
Actually, this was my idea because I was like, we should preface with Joe Hill.
Right.
It's my idea. You're like, we should do In the Tall Grass. I was like, sure.
Because I just seen it. Because the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the movie now.
Okay, let me do the credits for the movie. So it was directed and the screenplay was written by Vincenzo. I'm going to say Natali. It was produced by Steve Hoban, Jimmy Miller, and M. Riley. And starring Leisla de Oliveira as Becky, Avery Whited, I don't know, sorry, as Cal, Harrison Gilbertson as Travis, Will Bew Jr. as Tobin, Rachel Wilson as Natalie, and Patrick Wilson as Ross. And it was gross.
I liked the movie better, though.
I didn't like either of them. Blech. So obviously to make this novella stretch, right, they start out basically almost the same with Tobin calling out for help and they're going to
I feel like they
him.
focus on the drive more.
They do.
Because I didn't realize they were siblings until halfway through their little drive. And I was like, they definitely didn't set up this relationship as a sibling relationship.
No. I think think that they did that on purpose, too.
Yeah, because they make it sound like Cal... So when I first saw the movie, I thought Cal was the new boyfriend.
Yeah.
And was going to be like the father of this baby that was not his.
Yeah.
Because he sounded so devoted to the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And even kept trying to convince her to have the baby,
Yeah.
whatever. But it sounded so a partner devoted to a partner.
I thought he was friend-zoned. And he was the friend who was in love with her and thought, this is my chance
to show that I'm the knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's who I thought he was. And I was like,
Yeah.
But it does start the same with the kid yelling out and they're going to go help him and they park up. So when the movie first opens, I'm rocking back and forth as I relive this trauma.
She's got her arms tucked in and like...
So when the movie first opens up, all you see is grass, and the grass is moving. And I told Sadina it triggered my trypophobia. It made my skin crawl. I was like, this is not going to be a good time. And so the same thing happens where Cal and Becky, essentially Cal goes out first into the grass. I don't know if he does the same line, like Cal to I can't remember.
I feel like that was a very corny line that I don't remember thinking he said in the movie.
Yeah, but I know he went out first, and she did the same thing where she had the phone call and she's walking in the grass with a phone call and the call drops. But very quickly, we get Tobin, they're separated and they both jump, and in the beginning they seem somewhat not too far away from each other, but the second jump, they haven't moved, but they've moved. And that's when you're like, oh, this grass came to play.
Well, you know, she described it in the book at one point like the sifting sand, like a riptide. And so it almost made me wonder if the way that the grass acted was the currents of the ocean.
Oh, I mean, and they did make it seem very, very wave-like, so it could be.
Because if you've ever gone too far out in Galveston, you can sit still and get very far away.
Yeah. I remember in my youth, I could see my parents straight ahead, and then I'd just be sitting, and then all of a sudden I'm like 12 feet to the right, you know?
That's
for
what
sure.
it made me think of. So I don't think it was the grass then. It felt like maybe it was the ground.
It could be. Because remember when he was jumping, the ground was moving and it was squishy and disgusting.
And the ground did change from when they went in. The ground went from being kind of like normal soil to, he said it smelled and tasted like fecal matter.
Yeah. One point when he's jumping, I was like, oh my god, this is quicksand. Oh my god, this is quicksand. Because like most people, I was traumatized by quicksand in the 80s. So I always think it's going to be a problem. But it was not quicksand. But this one, so how do I put this? In the beginning, Cal and Becky, it quickly becomes where they're trying to help the little boy and they're lost and they're trying to find each other now.
Cal doesn't give a shit about this boy anymore.
Right, he's like, it's about us at this point because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And I think after that second jump, she starts to feel kind of, oh, there's something wrong. I don't want to say there's something wrong with the baby, but maybe the jump wasn't good for the baby, right? Wasn't drastic at that point. They end up, she says a little ditty about martini or whatever.
She talks about, there was a guy from, oh my god. Give me a second. Look.
Change, I was like, all the moving.
Yeah, here's the part. The kid, Becky, this is about us now.
Yeah.
Okay. And this I kind of like too about the book was that the novella explained why she kept doing these limericks. Yeah. Because apparently she wrote a paper in a lit class that she thought would be really clever to talk about the history of limericks. Yeah. And then was bitter because she got a C+ and then a head full stuck of dirty limericks. Because Cal says, keep talking and I'll find you. Yeah. So the first thing she starts saying is, there once was a guy named McSweeney who spilled some gin on his weenie. Just to be couth, he added vermouth, then slipped his girl a martini. And I remember thinking in the movie that they still didn't sound like siblings. Right. That was not something...
I wouldn't say it to my sister. No. And I don't have a brother, but I definitely would not say that to him. That's inappropriate.
Yeah, and Cal just goes, oh, that's charming. And I was like, that's not the reaction I would have expected.
Yeah. I'd be like, Becky, you couldn't think of something more appropriate?
I know. Also, he told her to sing, not like saying dirty lips. Yeah. It was so weird. And it's not the only one she does. There's like 2 or 3 more.
Yeah. But... And I think when he's looking for her, he falls at one point.
Well, because the grass is literally tangling around his ankles.
Yeah. And he sees the dead dog, and that's really disturbing. Yes. Because it's a golden, and I'm like, oh, I love goldens.
Just a dead pet is so distressing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see all the dead people. but not the dead
no.
animals.
Dead bodies of people for days.
Yeah.
But the other night, I thought Chainsaw stopped breathing and woke him up just to see if he was still alive. Like, I can't handle pet death.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with it.
Yeah, I wasn't okay with the dog. Inside, I was like, screw this movie. Like, I'm going to look it up on Wikipedia, and that's how I'll talk about it. That's how I felt this whole time. After he sees the dead dog, and okay, so time and space are not a thing in this movie. No. So it's meant to disorient you, and it did disorient me.
Yes. Everything is on a circuit.
Yeah. So I can't remember if his first spot of a dead body was himself or Becky. No, Travis saw Becky.
Yeah.
So I think he saw himself. And just so scary.
By the way, Travis is the guy who impregnated her.
Yeah.
But you barely learn about that in the book.
Yeah.
There's like a flashback where basically he's being that typical dude bro who's like, well, you're pregnant. What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Do I have to drop out of school and take care of you? What am I going to do? Da-da-da. Listen, guys, it is not your call under any circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't care if you provided half the DNA.
Yeah.
If it's not attached to your body, it's not your problem.
Yeah.
Calm
and you
down.
help in any way you can, okay?
Right.
You be helpful.
And if you aren't going to be helpful, then go the fuck away.
Yeah.
We didn't want you anyway. Go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Come from a single mom parent.
Yeah.
I can't. I get really worked up about it. I think it's stupid.
I mean...
But, anyway, whatever.
I mean, we're going to digress, so I'm going to choose not to.
Well, I was going to say, we were just talking about it earlier, where I was saying that men should just be forced to get vasectomies. So that we don't have to get birth control, because theirs is reversible and birth control messes with our bodies.
Oh god, it messes with you so bad. Ugh, don't get me started. Please don't. I can go on. So Cal ends up he finds Tobin. And Tobin is the creepy kid. And Tobin...
But he's not as creepy in the movie.
No, he's not as creepy in the movie. He's got that one little...
In the book, he came off like he was enticing them into the field.
Yeah.
And I think even by then he was crazy, because it sounded like he had touched the rock. But in the movie, he sounds genuinely distressed.
Yeah.
And when his mother is like, don't call for help, don't let them come in here.
Yeah.
He sounds genuinely a scared child just trying to ask for help from anybody.
Yeah.
He thinks he knows that's the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're a child, call for an adult.
And I mean, he even wasn't that creepy when Cal first encountered him in the movie. It wasn't until they got to the rock, because Tobin, and I can't, guys, I'm not trying to remember this movie, so I don't
Well,
know.
he seemed more afraid of the rock, because he tried convincing Calvin not to touch it.
But then when he touched it, he was like, he shivered, and then the goosebumps came up, and I was like, And then I think that's when he tells Cal, like, oh, Becky's already dead. And I was like, well, that's creepy. And Cal's like, how do you know? And he's like, the grass told me, and the grass knows everything. I was like, okay, creepy ass kid. But then it goes back to Cal and Becky are in the grass, and Tobin gets called in. Or no. Tobin and his family are out. They parked up. The dad is on the phone making a deal because he's a realtor. The dog runs into the field, and Tobin goes into the field after the dog. Mom runs after Tobin. Dad runs after everybody else. And then they're stuck. And then it comes back, and Travis is there.
So in the movie, I don't think you see the whole scene where he's like, what do I do? How does it affect my life?
Right, yeah.
I think he just was like, I don't want to participate.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeah, fair. That's a good call.
Yeah.
You don't want to participate, fine. But then he changes his mind. He's like, actually, you know what? I kind of think I want to be in this. So he follows them. Although it wasn't until I was reading the book when I was like, wait, if they chose to take back roads, how did he know which back road to go on to find them? Because they'd been missing for a while. That's why
because they had been missing for 2 months when he came to get them.
How
did he know?
Right?
Oh, plot hole.
So he somehow accidentally chose just the right back road.
Right, because he saw their car by the church or whatever. That's interesting.
Right?
I didn't think about that.
And like you said, it had been 2 months in his time, but for them, I think barely a day had come, because
they said it was because they're like, why did you follow us? We just left 2 days ago. And he's like, no, you've been gone for 2 months.
And I think he comes into the field not because of Tobin, but because he hears Becky.
Yeah. And it goes back and forth between Travis, because Travis thinks he's smart and he's tying up the grass as breadcrumbs, but as he leaves, the grass unties itself, which freaky. Then he stumbles upon an already decaying dead Becky. He loses track of time, and then the next day he finds both Becky and Cal, and then Tobin too, and the mom, Tobin's mom, Natalie. And it's already assumed, you could tell he's kind of like, what?
Yeah, like, how are you guys all out here? Because for them, for the most part, it's been just a few days.
Yeah, and he's already seen Becky's dead body, so he's kind of like, what?
Although I will say he was smart, because he put Tobin on his shoulders.
Yeah, he was really smart to put Tobin on his shoulders. And then Becky gets the phone call, and the phone call is her, and she's saying something about don't let Cal hurt Travis. And you're like, what? What is about to happen?
Yeah.
It's really scary. They split up again for whatever reason. Oh, because they put Tobin on the shoulders, and Tobin sees a barn.
No, it's the Bolorama.
Yeah, the Bolorama.
The abandoned bowling alley.
And so they're walking towards it with Tobin on his shoulders.
Directing him, which was so smart.
Yeah.
I kept hoping for something like that to happen in the book.
No. That's not what Joe Hill and Stephen King wanted for us. And then in the movie, I can't remember how they split up, because there was a point where Tobin came down and then he went back up on the shoulders and he couldn't find the Bolorama anymore.
I think it was around the same time that Cal and Travis start having a fight, because Travis accuses him of, like, the reason why I didn't stay basically is because I thought you wanted to fuck your sister.
Yeah.
And, like, you were my competition. And Cal looks really taken aback by it, but does not deny it.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Which I was like,
yeah, gross.
No. I don't like it. For a while too, I kept trying to tell myself they were like adopted, and that's some weird. Yeah, no, they weren't adopted.
No, they were just gross.
They were just well.
Becky wasn't.
Yeah, Becky wasn't. Cal was definitely. Cal was Cersei.
Yeah, Cal was definitely Cersei in this. And how am I reliving this movie?
They make it to the Bolorama place, the abandoned Bolorama, and you think, oh god, they're safe. But Cal is unhinged now.
Yeah.
And trying to kill Travis, and it's just all terrible. And they make it back out to the field running from Cal and the dad. And Tobin's dad, who's crazy.
Yeah, because at this point we've already encountered the dad who says he knows the way out, takes him to the rock, and he kills the mom by literally squeezing her head in front of her child. And he's like, you gotta touch the rock, and the rock will show you how to get out, and just grossness. And yeah, Cal kills Travis, and then Travis comes back, and then, like, because again, time and space
like
works
all
so
the
differently.
loops and everything.
Yeah, and I think Travis, does he touch the rock?
I didn't think Travis touched the rock. I thought that, no, Cal touched the rock.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole scene where, like... Okay, this is where it got really weird about the rock in the movie, because in the book, it's just a creepy rock with ancient paintings or carvings on it that, but in the movie, it feels like it's an asteroid or some piece of outer space gunk that got placed on Earth and is alien in nature, because so in the book, the little men that are dancing are just hallucinogenic versions of the carvings.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's actual little gray men dancing around, like, in the grass, and I was like, oh, is it aliens? Or aliens living here for thousands of years?
Right. And see, and I was like, okay, are they fulfilling some sort of prophecy?
Yeah.
Because at one point there was
they deliver
carving.
The baby.
Right. And then they had the little carving where they were carrying her, and I was like, and they did that. And I was like,
And it felt like the aliens wanted the baby.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, when they opened up the floor under the rock and you saw all the limbs, I was like, oh.
Yeah, the movie got really weird around that point.
It got really weird. I wrote down, are the grass people aliens, or are they victims of the grass who touched the rock? Because who knows?
That's a good theory.
Right? But I also wrote down, no, I didn't write it down, but I thought this, because Ross, the family dad, when he touched the rock, he knew how to get out, but he didn't want to get out.
Yeah.
And so I wondered if touching the rock showed you the way out, but also messed with your minds that you didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I don't know.
In the book, Cal starts thinking about how the locals must know that this is like a field where bad things happen, which is why even though you can hear the radio on the wind of a nearby house, that nobody's coming and helping, and that the Rock of the Redeemer Church is probably their weird ritualistic devotion to the rock that's in the field. Ugh. You know, and actually, before I knew that in the book, I actually thought that the cop was in on it, the operator, because it felt like they took a while to like kind of...
I know. Yeah. Like it was so convenient that the signal went out before they got a chance to respond. Or they said like, can you repeat what...
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Yeah. I was like,
but are you?
Yeah.
Because she said
are you crinkling paper in the back there?
Yeah, because she said the name of the church, and then all of a sudden you really weren't that helpful.
Yeah.
And it was like they were having the little town town was sacrificed. Y'all, this is why I do not like the Midwest. I mean, I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people out there, and I know, but the Midwest, the country really scares me.
It's scary.
I am a city girl through and through. I don't like the idea of being out in the middle of nowhere and disappearing, but then like being gone.
Yeah.
That's it. Because there's no one out there, or there's so few people out there. They all hold the same secret. And at least in the city, if something were to happen to me here in this apartment, my neighbors would smell me after a while.
Right.
My boss would know that I need to be at work, something. Yeah. But y'all, out there in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, where this kind of stuff, I could see stuff like this happening.
Yeah. I definitely could talk, like, because I've seen it on drives, because we used to drive from Houston to Canada, and I've seen it. And so it's easily like, oh God, I'm so grateful my parents never heard a child crying out for help, because like, it's just no. I briefly want to touch on the ending, because this does have a different ending than the book, which is why we were expecting different things when we read the book.
And it's why I like the movie more, even though the movie got weird with the alien stuff.
Yeah.
But
and even with the dad was kind of preachy evangelical almost. And I felt really uncomfortable, because I was like, please don't go there. Please don't go there, sir.
Yeah, he said he was a realtor, and I was like, but are you?
Yeah, he was real evangelical, and I was like, what are we being redeemed from, man? What? And it wasn't a Christian thing, it was this rock.
Yeah, the weird volcanic rock thing.
Oh God, he was so gross. But the ending, after you go through several loops and stuff, so what I read online, because I didn't want to look this up because I was confused, that the church is how you get out of the maze.
Yeah.
And so
they send the little boy through it.
They send the boy through it, and the boy stops the loop.
He stops Cal and Becky from answering his call. Because I think even Becky recognized it was the same voice.
Yeah, and he was like, let's go. And then Becky was like, there's something not right here, or something like that. And then they finally leave, and you're just like, thank God. But Travis, I guess, just stays in the grass.
Or does he? Because if the loop is broken, he never went in.
Oh, right.
Because he never would have heard Becky.
Right, yeah. They would have just gone on their merry way with Tobin, and
whose parents are now dead?
I mean, if... I was supposed to say, if logic tells us anything, if Travis has not got into the field, but see, I don't know if Tobin was the initial point of contact he had to have been.
Yeah.
Because they heard him, and that's why they went in.
But if they were still hearing him when he was leaving the church, then his family is already dead.
Yeah.
Because his family went in together.
Yeah.
So she's hearing them. So that version of Tobin is dead. But the new version of Tobin, goes with them to San Francisco, I guess? Or maybe they drop him off at the closest police station?
What if there's a loop where they broke that loop, but the rest of the loops are still going on?
Oh my God, you mean like Tobin is still calling people into the field? Nope. Oh my God, I got goosebumps on that one. Gross. I don't like that one at all.
I don't know.
Ugh. Oh, they broke out so fast too.
That was me throughout the whole, oh my God, the movie, the book. I didn't sleep well all this week after I watched the stupid movie. I didn't sleep well last night. It's so, I don't like isolation horror. I mean, there are some that I can watch and I'm fine. Yeah. This is the type of isolation horror that I cannot watch. Like, I will never watch it again. I won't recommend it to anyone. Maybe I will. You know,
some isolation horror, like you said, I can handle.
Yeah.
I think it's isolation horror that I don't actually see myself actually ever coming into contact with.
Yes.
Because I've never seen the movie The Thing, but it looks like a movie I'd enjoy.
Yeah.
Even though it's isolation horror and monster horror, because I'm not ever going to the Antarctic.
Right.
Like, that's not in my future. No. Or the isolation horror where, like, they're on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Or in space. Those are 3 places I'll never be in my life.
Me either, yeah.
So it's isolation horror that are the backwoods.
Yeah.
Those are places that, I mean, I live...
You can drive right to it.
I live on the other, 150 feet across from my parking lot here. I can see into somebody's backyard who has goats and chickens. That's how close we are to the woods.
Yeah, yeah. And where I live, it's just right there.
And I grew up in places where, like, we didn't even have fences between us and the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
When we used to drive to Canada, I remember, 1, the long drive out of Texas. But 2, when we would get into Louisiana, there were parts where it was kind of swampy, and we would drive over it, and I would just think, like, all it takes is one person to hit us, and we're down in there. And I would freak out. The terror, and I knew when we hit Texarkana, I was like, okay, we're getting close to this part. We're getting close to this part. And I would just freak out. And this took me back there, like, so freaky.
Yeah.
I don't approve.
No. We drove through parts of Oklahoma before, and there's definitely parts of Oklahoma that it's not desolate per se, but it feels desolate because you can't see anything for miles. When you're coming out of the Rockies down into New Mexico or Arizona, before you come into Texas, there's so much desert and flat land so suddenly that there was a point where I think I drove by what I thought was an abandoned truck. Yeah. But it had some information about it, about something coming up soon. And I remember looking around, and for literally as far as my eyes could see, I couldn't see civilization. Yeah. And I was like, but why is there a truck here? Like, this is the setup of a horror movie. Yeah. Oh my god. Just no. No, it was advertised in an arts and crafts fair or something, and I was like, where? Right, where? Where? At the truck? Like the one place that you see humans? It's in the tall grass is where the arts and crafts fair is, I'm telling you. Oh my god. It's just so scary, and it's so bleh. And then I told Sadina in pre-production that this was filmed in Canada, and I was like, where? Because it was filmed in the province that I was born in, and I was like, I don't remember seeing like farmland like that and like desolate areas like that. But I mean, I've only been in the city portion of there, so I get yeah, because city life forever. Yeah, like just a hard no. I couldn't do it. No, the book was really upsetting for reasons that Stephen King is always upsetting. Yeah. But the movie was really disorienting and distressing, and the whole weird alien take on it. Yeah. I remember watching it and being like, okay, but how did we get here? I mean, immediately I thought of aliens just because when they kept looking at the rock, the background was always the night sky. Yeah. And I just kept thinking like, is it aliens? Like, it has to be aliens. And then there was a moment where Travis was laying down and he's looking up at the sky, and I was like, it has to be aliens. Right? Like, why aren't you? I don't know. And then the way the grass was, because the grass had its own personality too. And I was like, that just doesn't seem, it's supernatural, but I don't think it's supernatural in a way that it's an alien life form. Right. I don't know. It was, it's just a hard no. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. So disgusting. I mean, if it weren't for the surprise that's coming up, I honestly don't think that we would have done Stephen King. We would have been done. This would have been it. I was like, you know what? Maybe next year we'll give it a try. Yeah. I mean, I did recently watch the new It movies. Yeah. And I liked them. See, and I haven't watched those, so we could probably cover those. Okay. I thought they were good. I'm a big fan of Bill Hader. Wait. He's in it. Who is he in it? He's Trash Mouth. Oh. Yeah. Wow. I love him. Yeah. It's actually why I watched it. Yeah. Yeah, because the kid that plays him when he's little is Wolfhard, Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. Oh. Plays him as a child. Oh. Okay. Great little actor. And then Bill Hader played him as an adult. Okay. The first thing I ever saw him in outside of SNL was The Skeleton Twins with Kristen Wiig. Yeah. Loved him ever since. Wow. He was in Mindy, though. Oh. He was one of her love interests. And in that, he didn't like spoilers, and she always wanted to talk to him about something. He's like, no, I haven't watched it. She's like, well, keep up with the shows in a timely manner. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I expected the novella to have a happy ending, especially the closer I got to the last pages. Yeah. But I was so convinced because the ending in the movie was so much more gratifying. Well, it almost makes me wonder if like Joe Hill and Stephen King saw, I was like, that's not the ending we wanted. Yeah, probably, but it's the ending we all needed. Yeah, the anxiety I felt was akin to watching Avengers Infinity War and realizing that Thanos dusted people, and there were like 5 minutes left in the movie and there was not going to be a resolution, and I was like, no. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so yeah, the book was just a mind F. It was too much. I'm trying not to curse, y'all. Oh, I did a lot on the last episode. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I got really worked up, and it wasn't until I was editing when I was like, was that like the third one? You need to calm down. Yeah, I'm trying not to. I'm really actively trying not to, just because I feel like I'll let a string of curses. Well, in all fairness, though, I was real worked up because Chainsaw was being very misbehaving. Oh my god, he was. He was such a bad little toddler. He was not trying to have us record that last time. No. So I was a little on edge to begin with. Yeah. But, yeah, no, I kind of regret in the tall grass.
Me too. This is an episode that I'm like, you can listen to if you want. You can watch it if you want.
Yeah. I guess you really gotta want... Okay, you know what? This is not helpful. This is not the way they're gonna air. But if you're listening backwards to our podcast, that would be better. Because you definitely need the What We Do in the Shadows to be that palate cleanser after in the tall grass. But we couldn't record them in that order because of the surprise, so... Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to this now, I'm sorry. If you haven't listened to What We Do in the Shadows, listen to that first. Yeah. And then come back to this.
No, listen to What We Do in the Shadows after.
Oh, yeah, after that. After.
Yeah, for that cleansing.
Because we needed that cleansing.
Yeah. I think when we're done here, I'm going to watch probably some more My Hero Academia. I was going to start Haunted. I don't think I'm going to start season 3 now.
No, I think I'm going to watch some Looney Tunes when I get home.
Yeah.
And just chill. Just bleh. If you want something that makes your skin crawl, in the tall grass will do it.
Yes, that's a good point. If you truly want something to make your skin crawl, this is the one. Because it wasn't just the isolation horror, but the time circuits really get me too.
The time circuits, the cannibalism, the bleakness, the lack of hope.
Yeah, because like the knowledge that you're almost surrounded by help and they're not coming.
Yeah. Bleh, bleh, bleh. And no modern conveniences to help you at all.
No.
Because it was set in modern day, but there was no modern help.
Also the creepy brother.
Yeah.
That really got to me, because I really did, like you were saying, he seemed like the friend-zoned, wanna be the knight in shining armor.
Yeah, but has already gotten too toxic for his own sake at this point.
You know what, I will say too, the grass seemed to pull out of the guys Cal's worst parts, because he got real toxic and scary, but it made Travis a better person, because he got real paternal.
Yeah, he did. And it was a toss-up with Tobin in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I think towards the end, it brought out his better side. His more childlike personality. Ugh.
Yeah, I remember at the very end thinking that Travis, for as much as he said he didn't want to be involved with the pregnancy, that it really pulled out his paternal instincts and that he showed that he could be a good father in the end. Yeah. Because he kind of sacrificed himself, or at least that version of himself, to put Tobin into the church so that he could break the circle. Yeah. So yeah, I guess Travis is probably still back wherever she left him.
I know.
And if they don't disappear for 2 months, then he's never got a reason to come find her.
Right, because she said, oh, let's go back. It was a mistake to come out here anyways.
Yeah.
And so she had decided to keep the baby. But what are they going to do with Tobin?
I honestly thought they were just going to drop him off at the closest police station. Be like, look, this kid, we found him, like...
Didn't they say that they were going to do that? They were going to go to the nearest police station?
Probably.
I think so.
I think so, too. Because, because you can't just adopt a random kid.
No.
Because where's the story of his origin?
Oh my god, so does that mean he goes back to the grass to find his parents with the cops?
Oh god, I hope not. No, I hope that kid has learned. But what does he tell them?
Right? What do you tell them? What is the story? Oh gosh. I mean, I don't need to know, but I need to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't really want to read more of the story, but I kind of want to know how Tobin talked his way out of what happened.
Going back, because, if you're law enforcement, your inclination is to find mom and dad. Especially if you started out with mom and dad.
Which means that they would have to go back to the car that's at the parking lot, and unless they're all in the know, like Cal was right.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then the cops are like, oh, your parents went into the field and you didn't?
Yeah.
Or you made it out somehow? Cool. You're in the system now.
Oh. Ooh. I could see that. I could see where they, you know what, we've been through it. We know what happens.
Also, what is up with the family whose house is right on the edge of that field?
Like, they don't hear that shit.
No, why are you living there?
I mean, that's true, too.
I would not be living there.
What if they know?
Yeah, what if they're like some type of gatekeepers of that supernatural / alien space to keep it fed so that it doesn't come into their family? Then just move.
Go to New York. There's a lot of people in New York.
Although, you know what, whenever you looked at the sky view of that field, it was very cleanly kept separate from the other fields around it. What if that was their job, to keep the grass from spreading?
I wouldn't want that job.
No. And what if that was why the radio was so loud, so that they wouldn't hear people screaming from the field? Oh, God! I just gave myself chills again.
Oh, man. Oh, my God. This is so gross. And how would you cut that grass?
I don't know, but I have lots of goose, down to my thighs this time.
This is the worst. Oh, my God. Oh, man. There's so many theories that... Oh, God. I'm going to go on Reddit and I'm going to look today.
Well, don't forget to look for the Abe Sapien.
Oh, yeah.
Origin for Shape of Water.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, y'all. I think we're gonna end it here because I mean, it's already done.
Yeah, I'm ready to be done with this and never go back to it.
Our next episode is gonna be a surprise. So look forward to that. Like and share on social media, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.
If you liked listening to us ramble on about horror, subscribe to our podcast and tell your friends. And if you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at LLOTL Podcast.
Check out our website by going to lastlibraryontheleft.com. Be sure to visit our About Us page to discover our 2 truths and a lie. Or, if you'd like to send us an email, you can reach us at somethingwicked@lastlibraryonTheLeft.com.